The bullet ripped through my chest like a freight train from hell, and all I could think was, how the fuck did my wedding day end with me bleeding out on the marble floor of my own goddamn venue? My fiancé, ex-fiancé now, I guess, Ethan's face hovered above me, twisted in that fake-ass sympathy he'd perfected over years of screwing me over, his hand still warm from the gun he'd pressed into my ribs. "Peyton, baby, it's gonna be okay," he lied, even as the life drained from my eyes, the metallic tang of blood filling my mouth, and the last thing I saw was my best friend, Lila, slipping out the back door with inheritance check I'd just signed over to our future. Then nothing. Blackness. And just when I thought that was it, eternal nothing for a girl who built an empire from nothing, my eyes snapped open to the blare of my alarm clock in my old Chelsea apartment, the one I ditched for that penthouse view 2 years ago. Heart pounding like I'd run a marathon, I bolted upright, staring at my reflection in the vanity mirror. 28, flawless skin, no wedding ring yet because it was 3 months before the big day. Holy shit, I'd done it. Reborn. Back before the betrayal, before the lies, before they buried me alive in a coffin of my own naivety. This time, Ethan and Lila wouldn't get a dime. This time, I'd bury them. I didn't waste a second. Slamming my feet into the cold hardwood, I grabbed my phone, same cracked screen from that bachelorette weekend in Vegas, and scrolled through the calendar. June 15th. The rehearsal dinner was locked in, the vendors paid, and my parents' voices echoed in my head from last week's call. "Peyton, honey, find a venue you can afford. We know times are tough with the business." If only they knew. I'd bought the entire Hawthorne Hall 2 years back, turned it from a crumbling relic into the hottest wedding spot in Manhattan, all on my dime from flipping distressed properties during the crash. But to them, I was still the wide-eyed kid from Queens scraping by. Fine. Let them think that. It kept the wolves at bay. First order of business, reconnaissance. I threw on my running gear, black Lululemon set, the one that made me feel invincible, and hit the streets, pounding pavement past the brownstones and food trucks, the humid summer air thick with the scent of halal carts and exhaust. My mind raced faster than my legs. In my first life, Ethan had charmed his way into my boardroom with that venture capital pitch, all smiles and promises of scaling Hawthorne events into a national chain. Lila? She'd been my ride-or-die since Parsons, the one who held my hair back during tequila-fueled breakdowns. They'd been fucking behind my back for a year, plotting to frame me for embezzlement, force me out of the company, then inherit it all when I conveniently offed myself from the stress. The gun? A plant. The note? Forged in her elegant script. But now? I knew every move. By mile 3, sweat stinging my eyes, I detoured to a corner bodega and bought a burner phone with cash. No traces. Back home, I synced it to my laptop and started digging old emails, deleted texts I'd screenshot in paranoia during the engagement. There it was, the first breadcrumb, a flirty DM from Lila to Ethan dated January, 6 months pre-wedding. Can't wait to toast to our future. Peas clueless as ever. Rage boiled in my veins, hot and righteous, but I shoved it down. Revenge wasn't a sprint, it was a goddamn marathon with tripwires. That afternoon, I met Lila for our weekly brunch at Le Pain Quotidien in Soho, the one with the avocado toast that tasted like overpriced regret. She breezed in late, as always, in that boho chic sundress that screamed, "I'm the fun one," her blonde waves bouncing like she owned the world. "Peyton, babe, you look amazing. Wedding jitters treating you okay?" Her hug lingered too long, that cloying vanilla perfume masking the venom. I forced a laugh, clinking my mimosa against hers. Jitters? Nah. More like excitement. Ethan's been buried in spreadsheets, but Hawthorne's bookings are through the roof. Line number 1. I'd already slashed the budget on his pet projects, rerouting funds to a hidden offshore account. She didn't need to know. Her eyes lit up, predatory. "Speaking of that venue hunt, did you find anything? Your folks said to keep it modest." There it was, the hook. In my past life, I'd spilled about owning Hawthorne, thinking it was cute family irony. This time, crickets. Oh, scouting a few spots upstate. Nothing fancy. I sipped, watching her deflate just a fraction.
Why?
Got leads. She waved it off, launching into her latest freelance graphic design gig, code for sponging off my connections. As she rambled, I tuned out, mentally mapping the kills. Step 1. Isolate Ethan financially. Step 2. Turn Lila's vanity against her. Step 3. The wedding itself, my stage for the grand reveal. But as we hugged goodbye, her parting shot landed like a gut punch. You're gonna be the most beautiful bride, Pay. Ethan's so lucky.
Lucky.
He'd be ruined. The weeks blurred into a fever dream of calculated chaos. By day, I played the blushing bride-to-be, posting Insta stories of dress fittings and cake tastings, all filtered to perfection. By night, I was a ghost in the machine, hacking Ethan's email with a phishing link disguised as a vendor invoice. Thanks, Reddit tutorials, siphoning proof of his side hustles, laundering money through fake event bookings, skimming 10% off every deposit. The bastard had been bleeding my company dry for 18 months, funneling it to a Cayman account in Lila's name. Our name, he called it once, during a drunken pillow talk that now made my skin crawl. One midnight, alone in my apartment with a bottle of Veuve and a stack of printouts, the weight hit me. Why me? I'd clawed my way up from nothing, single mom in Queens, community college scholarship, first flip on a foreclosed row house in Bed-Stuy that netted me enough for Parsons night classes. Hawthorne was my baby, my proof I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. And they'd taken it. Stolen it with whispers and spreadsheets. Tears came then, hot and unbidden, but I wiped them away with a vow, no more victim. This Peyton was forged in fire. Enter the controversial pivot. Blackmail. Not the sloppy kind, nothing traceable. I started small, anonymous tips to the IRS about suspicious event deductions tied to Ethan's firm, watching from afar as his meetings grew tense, his texts to Lila frantic. We need to accelerate. He's onto something. Paranoia was a beautiful thing. But the real gut check came at the Bachelor-Bachelorette joint bash in the Hamptons, a weekend I'd generously funded from the company card. Lila was in rare form, shots lined up like soldiers, her laughter echoing off the beach house beams as she grinded on Ethan during a tipsy game of Never Have I Ever. I played along, feigning tipsiness, but my eyes never left them. When she slipped upstairs to freshen up, I followed, heart hammering. The guest room door was ajar, and there they were, clothes half off, his hands on her like they belonged there. In my first life, I'd walked in post-wedding, too late. This time, I hit record on my phone, the soft click of the shutter immortalizing the betrayal in 4K. But revenge whispered darker temptations. As they fumbled, oblivious, a wild urge hit. Push her. Just a little. Let the fall from that second-story balcony accident the problem away. My hand twitched on the knob, pulse thundering. It'd be so easy. Blame the booze. Collect the insurance on her tragic mishap. No one would question the grieving bestie. But I hesitated. Was I becoming them? The monsters who'd shot me in the back? Fuck that. I backed away, file saved to the cloud, and rejoined the party with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Ethan cornered me later by the fire pit, his breath fiery. You okay, Pay? Seemed off. His hand on my waist felt like acid. Never better. I purred, leaning in. Just thinking about her vows. Forever, right? His nod was too eager, and I filed it away. Guilt or greed. As the sun rose over the Atlantic, pink and unforgiving, I knew the line I'd towed was thin. Blackmail was one thing, murder fantasies another. But in America's cutthroat game of love and money, where Wall Street wolves devour dreamers like me, who could blame a girl for sharpening her claws? The invitations went out a week later, embossed gold on cream stock, sealing fates with every envelope lick. Peyton Marie Callahan and Ethan James Harlow request the honor. I'd agonized over the wording in my past life. Now it was just theater. My parents called from their Florida condo, Mom's voice crackling with pride. It's perfect, sweetie. Hawthorne Hall? Classy touch, affordable too, right? I bit back a laugh. The best we could do, Mom. Dad chimed in, gruff as ever. Proud of you, kid. Don't let that city chew you up. If only. The city hadn't, they had. With a clock ticking down to September, I escalated. First, the financial noose. Using the embezzlement docs, his own damn signatures on ghost invoices, I approached our accountant, a mousy guy named Ted who'd always had a soft spot for me. Flirty emails from '09 said as much. Over coffee at a midtown Starbucks, I slid the folder across. Ted, Ethan's cooking the books. Help me audit quietly, and, well, let's say your bonus this year doubles. His eyes widened, but he nodded. Greed's a hell of a motivator. By Friday, Ethan was sweating bullets, cornering me in the office kitchenette. Babe, cash flow's tight. Maybe postpone the wedding? Investors are pulling back. I tilted my head, all wide-eyed innocence. Postpone? But the hall's booked solid. Losing that deposit would kill us.
Lie.
I'd bought out the calendar personally. He paced, Ty askew, muttering about bad luck. I almost pitied him, almost. That night, I wired the skimmed funds back into Hawthorne's coffers, anonymous transfer from a Wyoming LLC I'd set up overnight. Poetic, really, turning his theft into my fortress. Lila, meanwhile, was unraveling at the seams. Her gigs dried up when I accidentally forwarded her portfolio to a blacklisted client. Petty, sure, but satisfying. She showed up at my door unannounced, mascara-streaked, clutching a bottle of rose like a lifeline. Hey, I need to talk. Ethan's being weird, distant. You think it's cold feet. We curled up on my couch, the same one where I'd once spilled wine laughing over rom-coms. Now a confessional. I poured generously, watching her gulp.
Men, right?
But hey, that's why we have each other. Pause for effect. Remember that time in Vegas? You swore off players forever. Her laugh was brittle.
Yeah, well.
People change. Not you, bitch. Not yet. As the wine loosened tongues, she cracked, venting about creative blocks, how Ethan's stress was bleeding into there. Wait there? She clamped her mouth, but the slip hung there, electric. I feigned confusion. There? You mean ours? She waved it off, but the seed was planted.
Doubt.
The great equalizer. The real controversy brewed mid-August, during the final dress fitting at Kleinfeld's. Kleinfeld's, every Manhattan bride's mecca, racks of silk-whispering dreams. Mine was a Vera Wang sheath, simple lines that screamed old money, even if I'd bootstrapped every cent. Lila tagged along as maid of honor, cooing over the lace, but her eyes darted to her phone every 2 minutes. Texts from him, no doubt. Hurry up. We need to talk exit strategy. The fitter pinned the hem, and that's when I dropped the bomb. Casually, like discussing centerpieces. Lila, I know about you and Ethan. The room went still, the air thick as the pins clattering to the floor. Her face drained of color, a fish gasping on dry land. What? Hey, that's insane. I turned, veil trailing like a shroud. The Hamptons. Second room.
I saw. Heard.
Recorded. Her whimper was music, pure schadenfreude. But here's where it got messy, the decision that'd haunt my mirror stares for weeks. Mercy or the knife twist. I could have ended it, leaked the video to his partners, her Instagram followers, watched the dominoes fall. Instead, I leaned in, voice low. I'm giving you an out. Walk away now.
Disappear from our lives.
Or I hit send, and your freelance fairy tale crumbles. Tears welled. Genuine for once. Peyton, please. It was a mistake. He seduced me, said you were distant, obsessed with work. I love you. You're my sister. Bullshit, but the plea tugged. In my old life, I'd believed her crocodile tears at my funeral, toasting my memory while cashing checks. This time, I saw the calculation. By time, spin the narrative. 2 days, I said, steel in my spine. Ghost us or go viral. She nodded, fleeing the boutique in a blur of chiffon and sobs. Controversial? Hell yes. Blackmailing your best friend into exile? That's not justice. It's vigilante theater. But in a world where women like me got shot for saying no, it felt like survival. Ethan noticed her absence immediately, of course. Text blew up my phone, "Where's Lila? Rehearsal tomorrow." I replied with emojis, hearts and rings, buying silence. The next evening, Hawthorne Hall gleamed under golden hour light, chandeliers twinkling like conspirators. Guests milled, my parents beaming in ill-fitting formals, his venture bros nursing whiskeys, vendors triple-checking the cake. Ethan stood at the altar mock-up, handsome as sin in rehearsal tux, but his smile faltered when I walked the aisle on Dad's arm. "You look stunning," he murmured, kissing my cheek. Up close, the cologne I'd once loved reeked of deceit. "Forever starts now," I whispered back, my grip on his hand vice-tight. The officiant droned through motions, but my mind plotted the endgame. During vows, I'd cue the projector, not with sappy slides, but their affair montage, IRS alerts flashing like fireworks. Ruin in real time. But as we practiced the dip, his eyes met mine. Nervous, almost tender. A flicker. Was there regret? Or just fear of the cliff? Post-rehearsal dinner at Delmonico's, filet mignon and forced toasts, I slipped away to the powder room, splashing water on my face. Mirror Peyton stared back, fierce, fractured. This path was devouring me, turning love's wreckage into a vendetta vortex. What if I called it off? Let karma handle the cowards? But no. The bullet scar throbbed phantom in my chest. They didn't deserve mercy. Lila's no-show text came at midnight. "I'm out."
Sorry.
Relief? Or trap? I forwarded the Hamptons vid to my lawyer anyway, prepped for detonation. As Ethan snored beside me in the hotel suite, our romantic post-rehearsal night, I lay awake, staring at the skyline. New York pulsed below, indifferent to heartbreaks and hustles. Tomorrow, the real show began. And God help anyone who applauded the wrong act. The wedding morning dawned gray, clouds pregnant with September rain, mirroring the storm in my soul. Hair and makeup in the bridal suite, my team fluttered like efficient bees, but I waved them off for a moment alone. Slipping into the gown, lace whispering against skin, I felt the weight, not of tulle, but truth. This wasn't a union, it was an unmasking. My phone buzzed. Ted the accountant. Audit complete. Ethan's exposed. Press charges? Fingers hovered over reply. One word could end it legally, cleanly. But where's the drama in due process? No, this climax demanded spectacle. Downstairs, the hall filled with 200 souls, family, friends, phonies. Mom fussed with my train. "You nervous, honey?" I kissed her cheek. Terrified. In the best way. Dad clapped Ethan's shoulder. "Take care of her, son." If he only knew. The processional swelled, Pachelbel's cannon, strings aching with irony. I floated down the aisle on autopilot, veil of deception, bouquet of white roses hiding a USB drive loaded with apocalypse. Ethan's grin was megawatt, but sweat beaded his brow. Good. We faced the officiant, hands clasped, and as vows began. "Ethan, do you take Peyton?" I nodded imperceptibly to the AV guy, bribed with a future booking. The screen behind us flickered to life. Not our engagement reel. Theirs. Hampton's heat, time-stamped moans, bank transfers blinking like neon indictments, Lila's forged suicide note, scanned and damning. Gasps rippled. Ethan's face crumpled. "Peyton, what the?" I yanked the mic from the officiant. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the real ceremony. Ethan Harlow, you didn't just steal my heart. You stole my company, my trust, my life." Chaos erupted. Chairs scraping, Mom's sob cutting through. His venture bros bolted for exits. Dad's face thunderous.
But the twist?
As security, my guys, not his, hauled him toward the foyer, Lila burst through the doors, drenched from the downpour, eyes wild. Not fleeing. Fighting. "Stop." "It wasn't him," she screamed, shoving printouts aloft. My heart stuttered. "What the?" The hall froze, rain lashing windows like accusatory fingers, as Lila's voice cracked the pandemonium. "Peyton, listen. Ethan's dirty, yeah, but I'm the one who pulled the trigger. Not him.
Me.
Her words landed like grenades, splintering my script. Guests whispered furiously. Ethan's eyes bulged in betrayal. You crazy bitch. Shut up, she snarled, thrusting papers at me. Emails, not his, hers. Timestamps from before they hooked up. I targeted him to get to you. The affair?
Bait.
The money? Diversion. My mind reeled, piecing the impossible. Lila, not the side piece, the spider. In my past life, I died assuming their equal guilt, but this was orchestration. She collapsed to her knees, soaked dress pooling like spilled ink. My brother's in prison, white-collar rap, but he did time for you, pay. Remember? That insider tip you ignored, the one that tanked his firm? Flashback hit. 5 years back, a harmless stock whisper from her bro, which I'd passed to Ethan for laughs. It blew up, SEC raid, her family shattered. I'd sent flowers, an apology check.
Guilt money.
You killed him in there, she hissed. Stress. Heart attack. So I planned it all. Seduced Ethan, bled your books, framed the suicide to look like despair. The gun?
Mine.
You'd have signed everything over eventually, but you caught a whiff, so.
Bang.
Horror clawed my throat. Not just betrayal, vindication twisted into vendetta. My best friend, poisoned by my own carelessness, architecting my end. The hall spun. Mom clutched Dad, guests filming on phones like vultures at a crash site. Ethan lunged at her, but security pinned him. You used me? For this? Lila's laugh was broken glass. Love makes monsters, Ethan. Ask Peyton. Her gaze locked on mine. Not hate, hollow victory. You reborn or whatever. Doesn't matter. I win. Your empire crumbles today. Scandal, lawsuits, the works. The controversial crux. Forgive the unforgivable, or double down. My hand trembled on the mic, the USB still warm. Legally, she was cooked, confession on tape, docs irrefutable. But emotionally? This was the mirror to my own darkness, the push I hadn't taken in the Hamptons now staring back. One call to cops, and she'd rot like her brother.
Or
let her walk, a ghost in my story, knowing she'd lost everything anyway. Sirens wailed distant, someone dialing 911. Ethan thrashed. Peyton, baby, I didn't know. I love you. Lies, but laced with desperation. The man I'd planned to bury was collateral, a pawn in her chess. Pity flickered unwanted. I stepped forward, veil discarded like shed skin, and knelt before her. The room held breath. Lila, why not just confront me? After your brother? Her eyes glistened. You were untouchable. Queen of Hawthorne, too busy building to see the ruins you left. Truth stung. I'd been blind, ambitious to a fault. Get her out, I told security, voice steady. Not to jail, to the street, with a warning. Run.
far.
If I see you again. No need to finish. She rose, defeated, vanishing into the storm like a bad dream dissolving. Chaos reigned, refunds demanded, alliances shattered. But as cops swarmed, Ethan cuffed for fraud, spilling on her to cut a deal, I stood amid the wreckage, gown muddied, but unbroken. Mom enveloped me. What the hell was that, Peyton? I hugged back, tears real this time. The truth, Mom. Finally. The fallout was biblical. Hawthorne Hall shuttered for renovations, but bookings surged post-scandal, true crime junkies clamoring for the betrayal ballroom. Ethan plea bargained down to 5 years, his firm dissolved.
Me?
I sold off the skimmed assets, donated half to victims' funds. White-collar widows like Lila's mom. The rest rebuilt, expanded to Brooklyn lofts, therapy sessions for the girl who'd almost lost her soul to spite. Months later, under crisp November skies, I hosted a relaunch gala, not a wedding, a rebirth. No white dress, tailored black suit, hair loose. Parents in attendance, finally clued in. You own this place? Our girl, the mogul. Dad's pride swelled, Mom's eyes misty. As champagne flowed and jazz hummed, a shadow crossed the threshold. Lila, gaunt, anonymous in a hoodie. Not for revenge. A letter, slip to the bartender. I cross the bridge. Canada. Sorry doesn't cut it, but live free, pay. You earned it.
No twist, no trap.
Redemption's quiet cough. I burned it in the rooftop fire pit, ashes scattering on the wind. Reborn?
Yeah.
But revenge taught me the sweetest victory isn't destruction. It's dancing on the ruins unchained. In the end, America's all about second acts, grittier, wiser. And mine? Just beginning.